Do you ever wonder why we are so invested in the Ukraine? I mean, we've got debt ceiling issues, social security, solvency, inflation, our very way of living being changed by the day, but still, Ukraine feels like a higher priority than all of these concerns. But the real question is why, right? Like, why are we being treated like the redheaded stepchild in comparison to the Ukraine? Well, I really can't answer that question exactly, but I did find one of the most probable reasons. Would it shock you to know that we knew about the C-19 virus months before it was even named? Just drop a quick comment yes or no on that one. I've got a bombshell of a report for you guys, so best watch until the end because it also somehow connects to President Joe Biden. You know what makes this worse though? The fact that this affected us normal folks so much that it completely altered some lives forever. Now we're also going to discuss how volunteers in the Ukraine are making a profit off of donations and how some of them lied to get to a position where they can continue to ask for charity under the guise of helping to fight off Russia. That doesn't sound too good for our taxpayer money. Now before I continue guys, please take a second, drop a like for the video. Really helps out a lot. Really appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you guys are new here and you're interested in your daily dose of the truth when it comes to global happenings, social security, the state of our economy, the stock market, the housing market, and everything going on in Washington, D.C., be sure to subscribe to the channel. And for the best way to invest in gold or silver, hit the link in the description down below this video. Now guys, the health crisis that has happened in the last recent years, it's one that's embedded in a lot of our minds, and it's pretty obvious as to why. Small businesses closed, layoffs left and right, loved ones being sick in the hospital and we're not even allowed to visit. I mean, for some, it was the worst time of their lives as they lost a lot of the people that were close to them, which is why I'm not sure why what we're going to be talking about today is not being covered in Western media and even in mainstream media news outlets for that matter. This is not being discussed. So this was released by the Expose, which is a UK-based website that tackles a lot of conspiracy theories. And you know what I have to say about some of these theories, right? The difference between them and the truth is just a matter of time. Now, this one takes the cake though, as they have found out that the US Department of Defense allegedly issued a contract for C-19 research in Ukraine back in November 2019. Now you might ask, what's wrong with that, Ron? Well, get a calendar, guys. I want you guys to check the dates here. Remember, guys, the devil's always in the details. The world was made aware of C-19 back in February 2020. So how come they're already talking about a contract back in November 12th of 2019? C-19 didn't even happen yet. And to make matters worse, it was even called C-19 research months before you and I even had a clue as to what this virus would even be called yet. Check it out, guys. The job post shows that this is the Labyrinth Global Health Incorporated, dated, as I said, November 12th, 2019, and it's worth $369,511. Now read the description. Oh, what's that? SME manuscript documentation and C-19 research. Now, I believe SME stands for subject matter expert. Remember when I said that they're way too invested in the Ukraine? Yeah, the research was being done in the Ukraine. No wonder we're all in with them. Okay, so the research will take place in Ukraine, and what they're saying is that this was part of a much bigger, much larger contract for a biological threat reduction program in the Ukraine. Now, here's a heads up, guys. I don't think that they reduced the biological threat by that much. Or if we're being honest here, I don't think they reduced it at all. Now, as I continue to read this article, something really caught my eye. A company by the name of Metabiota. Now, I kept saying it over and over, just trying to remember where did I read this from, right? Because this company collaborated with Labyrinth Global Health, as did Peter Daszak's EcoHealth Alliance. But as I kept repeating this name, this Metabiota in my head, it finally hit me. It's connected to the first son, Hunter Biden. Now, here's a statement from a Russian military official about it. Quote, Biden's published correspondence with the leadership of the Rosemont Seneca investment firm indicate the use of an administrative resource and an open lobbying in favor of the Metabiota company in the United States government circles, end quote. Now, I know you guys may have your own worries given that this came from a Russian source, but the source that we're looking at now is from the UK. Are they both a part of the same narrative to get Hunter Biden in trouble? I would think that's highly unlikely. Now, what isn't unlikely is that right after the war started last year, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky ordered the destruction of all state documents that are connected to Hunter Biden and Metabiota. Isn't that weird though? Or was it just a huge coincidence? Was it also a huge coincidence when a prosecutor started snooping around and checking on Hunter Biden's affairs there? And then the guy was fired under the orders of Vice President Joe Biden back then? I don't need to read a quote on this one because he talked about it himself. Watch this.
And I went over right, I guess the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yates that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
What do you think? Are all of these things connected? Because a lot of these roads lead right back to Hunter Biden, a guy who supposedly made millions of dollars off of his dad's name. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, on the topic of millions of dollars, were you guys aware of the brave American volunteers who went into war in the Ukraine? So the New York Times was aware, and it's surprising to see them admit that something is going terribly wrong over there. But here's what they wrote about it. Quote, after a year of combat, many of these homespun groups of volunteers are fighting with themselves and undermining the war effort. Some have wasted money or stolen valor. Others have cloaked themselves in charity while also trying to profit off the war, records show. One retired Marine lieutenant colonel from Virginia is the focus of a U.S. federal investigation into the potentially illegal export of military technology. A former Army soldier arrived in Ukraine only to turn traitor and defect for Russia. A Connecticut man who lied about his military service has posted live updates from the battlefield, including his exact location, and boasted about his easy access to American weapons. A former construction worker is hatching a plan to use fake passports to smuggle in fighters from Pakistan and Iran. And one of the more curious entanglements, one of the largest volunteer groups is embroiled in a power struggle involving an Ohio man who falsely claimed to have been both a U.S. Marine and a Longhorn Steakhouse assistant manager. The dispute also involves a years-long incident on Australian reality TV, end quote. I'm not kidding when I say that this blew my mind when I read it. I mean, we're sending billions of dollars over there, both in terms of dollars and weapons. And some of these guys are sending our weapons elsewhere. No wonder there's a report that Ukraine was only receiving 30% of what's been given to them. Although I don't think that one small group would be able to spread out 70% of the weapons that we've sent. But hey, it certainly proves that it is happening. I remember CBS reporting this last August. Anyway, back to the topic. So there are these people, Americans, who went to the Ukraine to basically play army. One of them was James Vasquez, a former U.S. soldier who was hailed as a hero since he left the U.S., his job, and his family to serve in the Ukraine. Now, this guy was a home improvement contractor in Connecticut, and now there's news of him taking down tanks as he posts war videos on a now deleted Twitter account. He used this entire persona of a kick-ass soldier that was pushing back Russia to ask for donations. I say persona because, that's what it was. It was a gimmick. Who told on him? The Pentagon. As he told of all of his accomplishments, he was fact-checked when the Pentagon said that he was never deployed to Kuwait, Iraq, or anywhere else for that matter. He also left the Army Reserve as a private first class, not as a sergeant as he claimed. George Santos better watch out because he's got competition with this guy. Now you gotta wonder, just how much did this guy make off of all of this? Now what's sad is that there are patriots out there who are actually willing to give these people money and aid. It's insane just to think what happened. But what are you guys' thoughts on all this? Now here's a great question. Where's our aid? Do you guys get donations for inflation? Oh wait, we probably have to beg for those. I mean, seriously, even the Red Cross is asking for aid so that we can help our own veterans. But we're resourceful. We can make our own opportunities. And since you've reached the end of the video, give me a few more seconds to talk about what you can do to improve your cash flow today. There's the possibility to develop multiple streams of income through small businesses, even side hustles. You can also invest. We can look at real estate markets, even the stock market. But, let's not forget about gold. I just want you guys to be aware of these different opportunities out here because they do exist and they are real. But anyway, guys, if you guys want me to talk more about that, feel free to drop me a comment down below. I hope to hear from you guys soon. But before I go, please also drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.